right, welcome everyone. This is the Air Conservation Commission meeting. It is Thursday, May 14th, 2020. And approval of meeting minutes.
Could I just interject one thing before we get that far?
Nope.
We've got a little bit of Zoom meeting housekeeping to go over. There was an incident at the planning board meeting on Tuesday night with Zoom bombing, and Cindy and Scott have come up with some best practices for us in case we get an unwelcome visitor. So Cindy is admitting people to our meeting from a waiting room, one person at a time. If someone calls in and all we can see is a phone number, we need to really find out who they are before we start letting them talk.
Yeah, I mean, basically, Mass General Law, we have to admit everybody.
Okay.
But it's just nice to, hey,
Yeah.
who are you?
Who's who, right? So if we do have some sort of an incident, the best thing that we could possibly do is not react at all. Just try to keep it together and don't give a Zoom bomber any positive reinforcement by reacting. Cindy's going to mute everybody, and our job is to just stand by while she and Scott from APAC handle the incident. And then she will come back and let us know when it's all right for us to carry on with our meeting.
Right, and if something does happen, we're going to cut the live stream on cable, but the meeting will continue to be recorded.
Okay.
And then it will be edited, if need be. So, not that anything's going to happen.
Yeah, right, because we've got this all in place.
Yeah.
So Cindy has made me a co-host, so I can mute and unmute. I can share my screen. We've disabled the chat feature as just an extra safety measure. And I think that's it for Zoom meeting housekeeping.
Okay, very good. So we can do the approval of the meeting minutes.
Confirmation of the agenda.
And the confirmation of the agenda. Thank you, Jess.
Anybody want to move to confirm the agenda, George?
So moved.
Second.
So we need to do the roll call voting.
I don't think we need to on something like the confirmation of the agenda. I think just formal actions.
Okay.
I mean, that's what CPC was doing last week.
Mm-hmm.
So adjourn was just a regular vote.
Okay.
And I see the Board of Selectmen's, they don't do a roll call vote for adjourning and things like that, so.
All right. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, it passes.
Now the minutes, I think, is an official document, so yes.
Yeah. Approval of the meeting minutes. Everyone read them and enjoyed them?
They're great.
They're beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Motion to approve the minutes as written.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. So, Jess, how do you?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Jen?
Aye.
Chairman votes aye. And we're going to move on to accounts payable.
There are none unless, Jess, you have your reimbursement from the conference in order.
I have not yet located my proper paperwork.
Okay, then we have no payables.
Then our first action item this evening is the authorization of conservation agent to sign signature page of permits during state of emergency. So this is so that our agent, Joanne Christoph, can physically sign documents, and the rest of us on the commission vote by electronic signature. Is that correct?
That is correct. It's one of the many things that's come out of the Municipal Relief Act, and DEP guidance and registries of deeds. This by voting to approve me, to authorize me to do these signatures during the state of emergency means that we can issue permits that people can actually record.
Okay. And should I read this, this document?
I think probably.
Vote on May 14th, 2020. The Town of Ayer Conservation Commission met in open session through publicly accessible video conference software pursuant to the order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law issued by Governor Charles D. Baker on March 12th. 2020. This duly held meeting, the following vote was taken by the Ayer Conservation Commission. We move that the Ayer Conservation Commission authorize Conservation Administrator Joanne Christoph to physically sign on behalf of the Commission, so directed by vote of the Commission, documents issued by the Commission under the Wetlands Protection Act, GLC 131, Section 40, or the Air Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Chapter, so
Yeah.
it's 4 X's, of the Town of Ayer bylaws, including but not limited to orders of conditions and certificates of compliance. So it was moved and seconded.
It has to be moved and seconded.
Seconded.
Yeah.
So, motion to approve the certificate of vote. Or how should I say that?
Looking for a motion to vote to approve the certificate of vote.
So moved. Question,
Yes.
are we approving the format, or what does this approval do? I mean, we still have to approve each time, right?
Yeah.
That it's used.
Right. So what happens with this document, once the vote is taken, I'll correct the spelling and find out where our bylaw lives in the town bylaws. We just redid that whole bylaw situation, so I don't know what chapter our new bylaw lives in. Then I take it to Susan, the town clerk, so that she can sign it as a true attest copy. Then it has to go to the Registry of Deeds to be recorded so that we can have a book and page to put on our permits referring to this certificate of vote. So by signing it or by voting for it, you're really clearing the path for us to get a book and page from the Registry of Deeds. And yes, every time we issue orders, you'll have to authorize me to sign.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Nope.
So is there a motion to approve the certificate of vote?
Yeah, George did. Who seconded it?
Didn't hear a second.
I did second it. I did have one question though. Joanne, does it have a sunset date?
Well, it's during the state of emergency. So
Okay.
when that emergency order is lifted, this will go away.
Okay. All right. I wasn't sure if that's what it was trying to get at with the order suspending certain provisions. So, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hmm.
Okay, so we'll do a roll call vote. Jess, how do you vote?
I,
Mark?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Jen?
Aye.
Chairman votes aye. So the motion has passed. And will this be ready to go for our next meeting?
Well, I'm going to have Susan sign it on Monday, and I'll get it to Carly. She'll get it to town council. I don't really know what the turnaround time is at the registry for this, but my hopes and dreams are resting on this being ready for our next meeting.
Okay. And at that point, if it is ready, all we need to, if there are certain things we need to sign, then we just vote that you do it.
Mhm.
And then we sign electronically.
Yes. Well, and all that entails is me typing your names on the line enclosed in slashes. That, I guess that's so you don't have to give me an actual electronic signature. Your name typed on the line with language above the signatures saying that it's your intent that your name typed below represents your signature.
and I just checked, we are actually the same article number as we were before in our local bylaw. Article XXV1. And that is the new bylaw. I just looked at it.
All right, that's good. They're re-indexing all the bylaws, and I don't know if that has, so that one's not on the town website yet, clearly.
The re-indexed one.
Right.
Okay.
All right, good. Thanks for looking.
Okay, we'll move on to our next item. The public hearing continued, notice of intent, Ayer DPW Spectacle Pond PFAS treatment plant, DEP number 100-0443. And how do we stand?
All right, well, I had not heard anything from the consultant or Natural Heritage, so I wrote Mark Wetzel an email this afternoon saying that it was our plan just to continue this. And he forwarded that to the consultant, who wrote back to me at 3 o'clock this afternoon to say that, yes, indeed, Natural Heritage had gotten back to them on March 20th, and Oxbow had been hired to create the turtle protection plan, and the consultant had heard verbally from Natural Heritage that they were going to accept the turtle protection plan, and the hope was that we would issue the order tonight. I feel like I need to check with Natural Heritage to make sure that they are in fact going to accept the turtle protection plan before we can issue the order. And yeah, that's my recommendation anyway.
Who's the consultant again?
I can see her face, and I'm completely blanking on her name.
Joanne just had one of our last meetings, didn't she?
Yep.
Yeah. So,
I've got nothing.
yeah, I'll look it up.
I can actually check
So we,
check my email here. Maggie Lofsted,
can you spell Lofsted?
Lofstedt.
Okay. And so we could vote to issue it pending your confirmation, right?
We could, and I would need to see it to be able to put the conditions from the turtle protection plan into the orders.
Yeah.
And if the certificate of vote gets turned around and we can actually sign at our next meeting, that would be ideal. So I'll check with Maggie, I'll check with Natural Heritage, and I can aim to have orders ready. I don't want us to be the thing that's holding this up. But we've really been we've really had the way that we work turned on its head by this state of emergency.
Well, if they did hear back from Natural Heritage in March and nobody told us, we can't incorporate it into the order of conditions until.
Right, and the letter from Natural Heritage was just, yes, you need a turtle protection plan.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. I guess you could vote to issue pending these other dangling things, and if it doesn't all come together for next time, including the certificate of vote.
Does it save us anything? Not really. We can do it all at the next meeting.
We could, and I was going to talk about this at the end of the agenda, but the other it really is kind of a black hole. It for orders concerns the appeal period after the orders are issued. That the neighbors and other interested parties have 10 days to appeal. And then DEP also has an appeal period that has to run before the applicant can start working. Well, DEP's appeal period is tolled or suspended during the state of emergency to 45 days after the end of the state of emergency. And through a lot of back and forth, DEP has realized that's not really fair to applicants. So when we issue orders, I can contact our circuit rider to ask if it's likely that DEP is going to appeal. Only 10% of permits really ever get appealed, we were told the other day. And if a project has had comments by the analyst during the file number issuing phase of the paperwork, the DEP just wants to make sure that all of those comments have been attended to in the order of conditions. So George, that's an extra reason why we're not going to get very far by voting tonight when we could vote next week.
2 weeks.
Right, next meeting.
Anyone else have any thoughts or comments on this issue? Of whether
So if we don't vote for 2 weeks, that just extends the period of time, though, that the DEP can potentially appeal and others can comment on it, correct?
Well, that's true.
I
If
guess
I,
I personally not want to hold this up any longer than we need to.
right,
So if there's something we can do to start the process moving forward in the appeal period and the review period from abutters and such to start happening, I think that's really where we should head.
Actually, yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Does the waiting period start then from when we vote or when we actually sign off on it?
Yeah, that's not
from,
sure.
from the time that the permit is issued. So it's the day it gets put in certified mail to the applicant,
Okay.
which is usually the day after you guys sign it.
And so to be able to do that, do we have to get our page from our previous agenda item taken care of first?
Yes,
Okay. So there's, I mean, even if we voted tonight, we wouldn't be signing off until next meeting anyway, which is when
Yeah,
everything would start. So
yeah. Oh, well.
We're not really.
All right. Yeah, and that's, Jen, that's exactly what I was trying to get at. So yeah, perfect, right? So if we can make sure that we've got all our ducks in a row for next meeting, that's probably the best approach then, I guess.
yeah, well, in a perfect world, I can come to the next meeting with the orders all finished because we would have received the okay from Natural Heritage on the turtle protection plan, and we'll have our book and page number for the certificate of vote, and I will sign in ink, and your names will all be typed on the document already, and I put it in the mail the day after our next meeting. That's a lot of ducks to get moving in the same direction.
It can happen.
Yep.
Duck number one.
Yep, one duck at a time.
Exactly.
All right. I guess, should I ask if there are any people on video that wish to comment? Sounds like no. So is there a motion to continue notice of intent for the Ayer DPW Spectacle Pond PFAS treatment plant, DEP number 100-0443, until our next meeting, which is the
May
28th?
28th.
May
So moved.
28th.
Second.
George, how do you vote on this?
Aye.
Jess,
I,
Mark,
Aye.
Jen?
aye.
Chairman votes aye. So we'll continue this on May 28th. All right. Next item this evening is public hearing continued, notice of intent at 0 Washington Street, Air Solar 2. DEP file number 100-0444. And, how do we stand on that?
We have signed the contract. Robert, the town manager, signed the contract with Ecotech for the peer review of this project, and a copy of the signed contract was then sent to Ecotech, and then I set up with the accounting department the appropriate separate accounts for receiving the funds to cover that contract, and also an account for disbursements from the funds. And
have two separate accounts, one to receive and one to disperse.
yes,
Wow.
yep. And I've asked GPR to ask the applicant to send a check for $10,680 to cover the contract, and was told that the applicant would indeed send that check. Ecotech said that they were very pleased to be chosen as our peer review and that they would, in quotes, get right on it. So I haven't actually spoken to them this week to know if they've started. They haven't yet asked me for any additional information, but I think they really got most everything that they need. So it's possible that they've been out in the woods looking around. I don't know. I will check in with them early next week and see what they're up to.
Okay. And this is about as far as we can go with at this point in time.
Yes.
So is there a motion to continue the public hearing on the notice of intent, 0 Washington Street, Air Solar 2 until May 28th?
So moved.
Second.
George, how do you vote?
Aye.
Yes?
I
Okay, I didn't hear it. Jen?
Aye.
Thank you. And chairman votes aye. So we will continue this on May 28th. Next item this evening is a public hearing, continued notice of intent off Shaker Road, Shaker Mill Pond, open space residential development, DEP file number 100-0437. And do we have any more information on that?
No, we've been stalled on this one for the reasons incorporated in the certificate of vote. So we should be able to sign, hopefully, this one next time. If all the ducks cooperate.
So is there a motion to continue the public hearing, notice of intent, Shaker Mill Pond, DEP file number 100-0437 until May 28th?
So moved.
Second.
George, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jess?
I
Okay, I can't hear him sometimes. I don't know.
yeah.
Oh.
I
Aye.
And chairman votes aye, so that's we will continue the public hearing on May 28th.
I cannot actually hear you say my name, so I'm just guessing when it's my turn to say aye, but
Can you hear me at all?
I can. It just cuts in and out a little bit.
yeah, the same for me on yours too.
Yeah.
Yep. Me too. I think it might be maybe when if you're jotting something down, maybe when you turn your head away. So.
Don't move.
Don't move. Okay. Good to know. The next item this evening is public hearing continued of notice of intent at 270 Woodland Way, David Grubb, DEP file number 100-0442. And how do we stand on this?
Same as we stand on all the other ones. We should be able to sign this one. This order is ready. So as soon as we get the certificate of vote squared away, we should be able to issue this one as well.
Okay. So a motion to continue the public hearing on notice of intent at 270 Woodland Way, DEP file number 100-0442. The motion to continue that until May 28th.
So moved.
Seconded.
George?
Aye.
Jess?
I
Mark?
Aye.
Jen?
Aye.
Nice.
Thank you.
Chairman votes aye. So we will continue this as well on May 28th. Next item, action item is to approve the contract for 2020 weed treatment of Ayer ponds. We have a contract or a schedule, contract and schedule, payment schedule, Solitude. They've got it at, it's 33,000, but I think that's going to be, we're going to not do the sonar. And then the cost would be somewhere around $25,000.
That would be my recommendation. I reread the year-end report that we received from Solitude, and both at the pre-treatment inspection and the end-of-year inspection, they did not observe any fanwort in Flanagan Pond. And sonar is the herbicide that's used to treat fanwort. So when Dominic said at the meeting in February 27th, that that there was fanwort in Flanagan Pond, and that sonar would be the herbicide of choice to deal with it. I think he got Flanagan's and Sandy Pond mixed up, because Sandy Pond has a couple of instances of fanwort, but there isn't any in Flanagan's.
Although he was pretty specific about the particular coves involved, my recollection is.
Well, and in the yes, he was, but the looking at the map of Sandy Pond, there are a couple of coves in Sandy Pond where there is fanwort.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Chair.
Please.
So I don't know that he got it confused. I think he was, because at that meeting, he also referenced the specific spots in Sandy Pond. But on the other hand, I actually we haven't tried what it looks like to skip a year of fanwort treatment when there's such a small amount. And this might be a good year to just see what happens if we skip 1 year and sort of tried to get to an every other year or something schedule, see what the impact is.
Well, it'll be interesting to see at the pre-treatment survey if they come up with any fanwort in Flanagan, since their year-end report for last year doesn't show any fanwort in Flanagan's, either in the spring or in the fall.
So if you look on page 8 of the report, the year-end report,
Yep.
I think that's what they were referencing. So this is post-treatment. And as Jess mentioned, there was a couple coves, right, that are identified with the green triangles. And so it seems like maybe it's a late season that comes out, because if you look at the pre-treatment, it does not seem to indicate that there really was fanwort in Flanagan Pond. So I'm wondering if is it a late season invasive possibly that pops up or whatever, and is it, like you said, is it possible let's try not doing that treatment, let's see how it grows, and if it does get really bad, maybe at the end we could look at some spot treatment, but right now let's not approve that spot treatment.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good idea.
Because this post-treatment was done, well, the map date, when did they do the survey, the post-treatment survey?
Um,
October 11th.
Okay. And then you can see on page 5 there, it says, since no fan wart was recorded during the pre-treatment survey, the observed plants represented new regrowth which emerged over the course of the season, although a small localized treatment of fan wart was conducted near the inlet from Sandy Pond with sonar in 2018. The last pond-wide treatment for fan wart was conducted in 2017. Based on previous cycles, more substantial but still segmented regrowth of fan wart would be expected to start about this time. So, I mean, I guess we can roll the dice and see what we get.
Yeah, I guess I didn't read this carefully enough. It's isolated, so and the difference, it's about an $8,000 difference that they're.
Right.
This might be a good year to, given the economic impact right now, to cut where we can and just see how it goes.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's just so that we all see what was, or what, you know, kind of going through what they recommended and everything. But yeah, I would be saying let's hold off on Flanagan. I just want to make sure that Sandy Pond is in decent shape for, hopefully people can recreate this year, and we'll go from there.
What do you think about that, George?
Yeah, it sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good idea. So we would ask to strike the use of sonar in Flanagan's Pond in 2020. So is there a motion to, or is there any more comments? Members of the audience, is anyone there that needs,
No, thanks.
would like to make a comment? No? Okay.
The other thing too, on the hold on, this is the technical thing. 1 second, sorry. Yeah, technical non-price proposal for 2020 aquatic treatment. Page 3 of that. I'm sorry, page 4. Yeah. Page 4. Your guarantee, it references 2018. Can you have them change that to 2020?
Oh, yeah. Yep, good catch.
And then also, I believe, hold on, my computer's acting up. Was there a reason that they included the town of Andover's final report in this?
Well, I did ask him that, and he said it was just to serve as an example.
But we've got our report in there.
I know. Yeah, I know.
So if we can ask them to reissue it again with the edit I just mentioned and take that out, because I don't really want anything from the town of Andover in here.
Yeah, okay.
It seems odd.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't really care about Foster Pond. I don't care about the prices they paid.
Yeah, it seemed out of place to me, and he did say it was just to serve as an example. But I will ask him to take that out and correct the date.
So should we make a motion to approve the retreatment of air ponds with the provisions that Mark included?
So
And with the removal of
And
Flanagan
the removal
Pond.
of sonar?
Okay.
so moved.
Seconded?
George, how do you vote?
Aye.
I
Mark?
Aye.
Jen?
Aye.
Chairman votes aye. What is it?
So the process will be, I'll let Dominic know. He and I have been in contact this week. He'll get the contract to me, and because it's over a threshold amount, Robert is the one to sign it. And then I'll get it back to Solitude, and hopefully they can start scheduling us.
It has been a slow spring, so
Yes.
I think like last year, time schedule, pre-treatment survey would be delayed anyways.
Yep.
So
Yeah, very good. So our next item this evening is the enforcement order update on Zero Central Avenue, Mr. John Hillier, Assessor's Map 26, Parcel 281. So what is the update?
Oh, we have a couple of updates. I sent an email to Denise Child, the section chief of wetlands at DEP for our region, this morning to ask if she had heard back from Mr. Hillier, and she said she hadn't, and that she would send him another email or try to contact him again. She ended up sending him an email and leaving him a voice message. And as I was leaving after lunch, I talked to Robert, who said that he had had a phone conversation with John on Tuesday. And I see John down there on the bottom of our screen. So hi, John. There was some concern about having to remove the pavement by hand. And I did check with Denise Child about that. Her response was that the pavement was in the buffer zone, and removing it by machine would not threaten at all the resource area, that in her opinion, we would not have to require the pavement be removed by hand.
Okay, so a machine would actually sit on the street and reach its arm and just scrape it up.
Well, I don't know that it would have to sit on the street. I think we would want to make sure that it didn't do more damage to the buffer zone. But I think the important thing is that we get the pavement out of there, and not do any more damage to the buffer zone in the process.
And Mr. Hillier in favor of this process?
Well, we'll have to ask him. I haven't actually had any contact with John directly.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, all. Thanks for your time tonight. I am very much in favor of making that right. That pavement was placed on Ruth's land, and looking back, it shouldn't have been. It was an effort to make things a little better in terms of erosion, but certainly had an opposite effect. So I am in favor of removing it.
Okay, very good.
The enforcement order that was issued for this paving called for there to be a restoration plan delivered to us by today, and I haven't seen such a plan. John, is there such a plan?
Well, I received your orders just yesterday, and didn't see anything about the restoration plan. The rest of my plan would be to make a cut along the pavement. It could be a scored cut so that the pavement could be broken without disturbing further pavement or existing pavement that was existing there before the new hot top was put down and bound to it. I would imagine that the work could be done pretty quickly at a time and date of your choosing, but it could be done with a simple cut, and then the machine that's on site could load the pavement into a vehicle that could take it to a recycling center.
Okay, and I think one of the things that we're concerned about is that the pavement be disposed of legally and properly. So having a receipt from the
Sure.
pavement recycling place would be good.
Yeah, that's typical. And it would go to the Keating's plant over in Lunenburg.
Mm-hmm.
They give a truck a way in, and then they give the truck a way out, and we would have a receipt for that.
Okay.
And the other thing we had wanted was just, something in writing from Ruth granting your permission to do that work on her property.
Yeah, great, Jess. I think that's a wise thing for me to get before we do that, and I can have Chris Lilly work with her attorney to get that agreement. She would like it off as well, and we're both in agreement, at least verbally. So to put that in writing is fine. I would expect that might take a week to 10 days. Is there a time that you'd like to see this work done?
Well, I think as soon as possible, but we should pick a date so that this doesn't just bleed out into the future. Let me look at a calendar here.
No later than our next meeting, because I'd like to get some resolution to this.
I think that sounds like a good idea. So today's the 14th. Our next meeting is the 28th. So if you contact your lawyer tomorrow, John, and it does take a week or a few days longer to get the agreement, it shouldn't take very long at all to do the actual work.
Right, that's true. And I can CC you in the communications so that you can see where the conversation lies along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Once that pavement is removed, I think it's important that we're able to push fill back up against the edge of it, or would you rather we bring in some other erosion material?
John, when you put that down, do you know, I thought I heard you say something about there was a previous course of something there already?
So there is pavement along that existed, and the subgrade beyond the pavement had eroded to a depth of 6 to 8 inches. And so that pavement was put in place and then tapered down to sort of mitigate that erosion. When that pavement is removed, there'll now be a big void, and that will need to be filled. I'm happy to do it with the material on site, bringing the eroded material back up to the edge, or bring in some kind of gravel. But this is an activity that the railroad had done repeatedly several times a year for many years.
Okay, so when you take out the pavement that was just put in, the blacktop, it'll be basically dirt below it?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Joanne, there'd be no issues if we allowed him to put some stone in there, I would assume? Just some crushed stone?
So the complicated thing is that it's Ruth's land.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
That would have to be permitted by Ruth,
Sure.
whatever gets filled in.
We could include that in language. Yep.
Yeah.
But something will have to be done.
So you bring that back up, and thanks for reminding me. So you've had communication with Ruth. I thought in our previous discussions with Ruth, she had indicated that he wasn't overly happy about you traversing the property to begin with. So where does that stand between you and her? John.
Excuse me?
Sorry. I said, I thought in previous discussions we've had with Ruth, she was not in agreement with you traversing the property, her property, to get to your property. And so I'm curious as to what the current status is of that agreement between the two of you.
And that's relative how?
Well, it's relative as to, are you going to continue to traverse? Why would you need to put stuff there if you're not going to traverse? So I guess that's where I'm trying to understand.
But my question is, how is that relative to conservation?
Well,
Well,
because the work is still in the buffer zone, regardless of it being on her property or your property, right?
Okay. What would you like me to do?
So I think we'd like to know that Ruth is in agreement that she will, in the future, allow you to traverse to get to your property, if that's still an agreement that is going to actually happen. And then I think from there, then we can probably discuss, I guess, what Joanne is saying, right, about the ability to put something else there to fill that void.
So if I'm understanding it, in the agreement with Ruth, I need to indicate whether we're putting material back or not. Right? And if Ruth is in agreement, then you're in agreement.
Correct. But then I think, as Joanne was indicating, Ruth, being the property owner, would be the one that would need to permit putting that stuff back in. Did I misunderstand that, Joanne?
no, I think that's how I see it. If once the pavement is gone, Ruth says no, she doesn't want anything else put on her property, it seems to me that that's up to Ruth.
I would agree with that.
Mhm.
Okay.
George, what do you think?
Yeah, I guess that's right, as long as the way it's left, it does not leave it prone to more erosion.
Thank you, George. I think that's the important point here.
Well, and so remembering what Denise said about what's happening in the buffer zone, as long as it doesn't have any way of impacting the actual resource area. So if there is erosion at that cut, it's not going to erode up and over the dike, really, that keeps the intermittent stream in its channel.
Okay,
Okay.
so if Mr. Hilliard agrees with Ruth on what to put down, maybe if we just say we'd like to review it first to make sure we have no objections, and Joanne, you can just look at it.
Yeah, and as long as we all know that one of the things that Ruth may say is that no, she doesn't want anything else on her property.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're not comfortable with me accessing that property. It sounds to me like the commission has a concern with the relationship that isn't relative to conservation, and I'm a little concerned about that.
We're just
I
curious.
think the concern, John, is that I think things have been done without a property owner's consent, possibly, and that's where we're confused, because we're only getting half the story. And I think we've been confused about that in the past, and so we're just trying to get everybody on the same page so that everybody understands what's going on. Not trying to be difficult. It's just things just don't seem to be progressing properly, and I think we just need to work it all through.
Right, so the issue of the paving is one of the enforcement orders, and the other enforcement order is requiring a notice of intent for work that is being done in the buffer zone as part of developing your parking lot. and then there's the matter of the trees that were cut in the buffer zone as well as in the resource area itself without a permit. But I think if we can make some really good forward positive progress on getting the pavement out, and with the understanding that Ruth is the one who calls the shots about what happens next on that particular piece of property, I think that will feel like progress, and we are going to have to address the other enforcement order, and that's the one that
Actually, 2 enforcement orders, February 2019 and the March 21st, 2020.
right. That may very well be a matter for DEP to step in. We don't seem to have been able to get any progress on those other orders, and if DEP can actually level much larger fines than we can.
What we're looking for there, what we have been looking for has been a notice of intent and a plan, engineered plan for what you want to do in that parking area. And that's what we've been waiting for a year and a half on, right?
Just a little more than a year.
Yeah.
Year and a few months.
Yeah. So, Mr. Hillier, are you working on a notice of intent and plan for what you want to do in that area that we can review, or
That's being taken under advisement.
what does that mean?
It means that I'm seeking counsel, and at this moment we're doing a conflict check to make sure that his firm doesn't have conflict with the town of Ayer. And I have an arrangement to sign an agreement and provide a retainer and engage his services.
Okay.
My position has been that it's a drainage ditch. My position remains that it's a drainage ditch.
There is an easy solution on that, which is that you could, well, relatively easy, you could file what's known as an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation. And we would take our position that it's an intermittent stream. You would take the position that it's a drainage ditch. You could appeal our ruling. DEP would weigh in, and that would be the final word, unless you wanted to take it further to court if they disagreed. But
I think that's a decision for someone with a little more experience in this than I have.
Well, I think it's a route that needs to be taken, because there's obviously is a difference of opinion, and it's a documented intermittent stream, and you contend that it's a ditch. So,
excuse me, John, it's not documented. We've asked for the documents to produce, and there are no documents that make that an intermittent stream. Just wanted to put that for the record.
Who did you ask?
We've asked the Conservation Commission.
we gave you,
Joanne,
we gave you some historical,
we have no documentation. I've asked for it through this whole process. So I just wanted to clarify that, John, that's all. There is no documentation.
well,
So
there's
there's
many
that's-
differences of opinion.
my intention is to keep my good neighbor Ruth happy, and in trying to prevent some erosion, we placed some pavement that otherwise would have gone to waste in an area that was quite frankly a spur of the moment. And clearly the conservation took hold of that, and I'm willing to correct it. And I think that's the focus of our conversation tonight.
Well, we do have to address those other enforcement orders, and if we
They will be
Don't-
addressed.
we don't feel like we are getting. That's Benji and Maddie. I think if we don't feel like we're getting the cooperation from you that we need, then you may end up dealing with DEP on this. And as Denise said in her email to you today, getting back in touch with her would be really in your best interest. DEP is not to be trifled with.
So, Mr. Hiller, you are going to, what is it that you're going to do next concerning the intermittent stream versus the ditch?
I think I had just explained that we'll be engaging in some expert legal advice on that, John.
Okay.
Well, we're clear that there's no documentation of an intermittent stream. Thank you.
Well,
No, we're not agreeing with you.
no, we don't agree with you at all.
Then show me it. But we've asked for it. You've told me you don't have it. And if suddenly it's produced, I'd question it.
Jess, you're muted.
There's a wetland system running from further up the hill down through your property and on into one of the ponds.
The banks of which were delineated when the tree cutting happened, and we asked you to have someone flag the wetlands, they delineated the bank of an intermittent stream.
And this is for someone with more experience for me to comment on. I'm happy to take care of the pavement on my good neighbor Ruth's property. And it sounds like we have a process to do that.
Well, I'm not sure where to.
So John's getting some advice from somebody else, so that's fine. Let's work on that stuff. John, do you have a rough idea as to when you're coming back with your notice of intent on what you plan to do post, I'm assuming May 28th now, because the pavement's going to be handled by that time frame, let's say. But the notice of intent of the parking lot and all that stuff, and
Well, I think what he's saying, Mark, is that he doesn't need to do a notice of intent if it's not an intermittent stream. And that's the, would that be correct, Mr. Hillier?
It's not an intermittent stream.
That was not her question.
Yeah. My question was, so I think the issue is, he has a difference of opinion. I think we have more standing as a commission, but a notice of intent, submitting that hinges on whether it is an intermittent stream. It doesn't sound like you're planning on submitting a notice because you don't think it's an intermittent stream. Right?
I think I told you that I have expert legal advice that will guide me further in that.
So the way that last enforcement order is written, we're requiring a notice of intent by June 15th. And if it's not received by June 15th, then we will commence in possibly issuing fines of $300 a day, each day being a separate offense until the notice of intent is received. Just
that's very
stated very clearly in the enforcement order. Well, Mr. Chairman, I think if we can require Mr. Hillier to commit to a date for having the pavement removed and doing whatever Ruth is comfortable with after the pavement comes out, have that all wrapped up by May 28th. I think that's as far as we're likely to get tonight.
No, I think I agree. Yep. So, Mr. Hiller, do you agree to start the process and get the pavement out with Ruth's approval by May 28th?
I do agree to start the process to remove the pavement, providing Ruth and I can agree on the process that needs to take place. It's her land, like Joanne says, she calls the shots. And to that extent, it's out of my control.
Okay.
I do
Well-
believe we've also asked that when you do come to that agreement before the work gets started, regardless, that Joanne is notified.
Yes, that's true.
Yep, and I'm happy to interface with Ruth about this as well.
I would say if you have a enforcement order against Ruth, you have every right to do that.
Oh, well, and we do have an enforcement order against Ruth for paving that was done on her land without her permission.
And the enforcement order is on me as well.
Yes. Yep. As the one who did the paving. All right. Well, are you confident that you can have this work completed by May 28th?
To the extent that I just spoke to John about, absolutely.
Okay. Well, I will reach out to Ruth and I'll be in touch with you too, Mr. Hillier, so that we all stay on the same page.
Good. Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Hillier, for being part of the process. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate all your time tonight.
Thanks,
you.
John.
Bye-bye.
Alrighty. So the next item this evening is the enforcement order for 0 Taft Street. Abigail Anderson, Assessor's Map number 19, parcel 119. And where
We've got Kevin Conover here from David E. Ross Associates, representing Brian Anderson, who is the landowner, while not the landowner of record.
Yes, good evening. My name is Kevin Conover. I'm from David Ross Associates. I've been contacted by Brian Anderson regarding the property at the corner of Taft Street and Nashua Street. He is the current owner of that property. He was attempting just to clean up that area, and he was not aware that there was any wetlands in that area. He did not cut any trees down. There is a ditch that is connected by a culvert that goes under Nashua Street and the culvert that goes under Taft Street. In 2011, a request for determination was submitted to the Conservation Commission, and that ditch was declared non-jurisdictional, but there is some wetlands adjacent to it. So Mr. Anderson has contacted us, and I've been in contact with him several times within the last week when he got the order. He is in favor of improving that property back to where it was originally. The enforcement order talked about not a replication plan, restoration plan that the commission would like by June 15th. And you know, that time frame just is a little tight for us right now in terms of our current workload. So we just asked the commission to to extend that maybe to the next meeting or the meeting in the first part of July. The other question we have for this restoration plan, if we do a restoration plan, does it have to be an exact plan, or can we do it in a more of a document describing what he is planning on doing to restore it, or is the commission going to require a plan? In addition to that, the question for the commission too is, are they going to require a full notice of intent for the work to be done for the restoration plan? So tonight, I'm just here to represent Brian Anderson, to accept that he did receive the enforcement order. He's in complete, cooperation with the commission. And, I'm here to just find out the details of what the commission would be interested in receiving.
If you guys hang on just a second, I'm going to share a screen with you. Shows you the intermittent stream that runs through that property, as well as a photo of what the property looked like after the contractors. There we go. Has it arrived?
Yep.
Yeah.
So as Kevin said, I'm standing on Nashua Street looking, this little bit here is Taft Street. This is the intermittent stream that comes under Nashua Street, runs diagonally across this property, goes under Taft Street in a culvert. This pile of branches and twigs and fallen trees is the cleaning up that was done. There's a little bit of a concern on the neighbor just off the screen here that some of this cleaning up was done on his property, and I think we'll figure that out through this process. The other photo is of there were two big piles of stone delivered to this site. The piles themselves were removed. Just like the last layer of stone was probably going to make a bigger mess getting it out of there than it was worthwhile. Brian did ask me if he could leave this pile of loam here, and I said yes, as long as it was covered with a tarp. So that's kind of the lay of the land. The enforcement order was issued with the request for a restoration plan because I didn't know that the project was actually, Brian Anderson actually had an idea of what he wanted to do on this parcel. So it would be my recommendation that a full notice of intent be undertaken for this instead of the restoration plan, because there is some site development that is desired by the owner for this property.
Is there a plan of what is to be done on the property?
It was my client's intention to create an area for dogs of the neighborhood to use and to do whatever dogs do in the neighborhood, so to speak. So it was his intention. So obviously, as part of that, he wasn't aware that again there's wetlands there. So there isn't a plan that was ever proposed and submitted to the conservation or any board. Since he owned the property, those branches, is what I've been told, were just dead wood, and he didn't cut any trees down. I will agree that because of the on-site conditions, because of all the spring rains, it did create a mess, and it does look worse than it probably is. But he, like I said, he did not cut any trees down. So in conversation with Mr. Anderson, he would like to restore, as you're looking at it from Joanne's picture, standing on Nashua Street down that culvert, restore the portion to the left back to its original state, based upon whatever the Conservation Commission requires. And on the right portion of that, have more of a grassy area so the dogs can use. Just want to let you know too, those two culverts, and I talked to Brian about this today, and Joanne, you may be able to agree with me on this. Those two culverts got to be 100 years old. I mean, they're just antique culverts. So I warned him and cautioned him about doing anything near there, because I don't want to compromise the integrity of those culverts in the condition that they're in. He is not planning on doing anything to the culverts. He may contact the DPW to see if they can be cleaned. He thinks that they're not working properly. And if they're part of any drainage system for the road, the DPW may be in a position to help clean those up to make them at least function properly. So, in terms of, in terms of the initial question, there was never a plan besides something that he thought up in his head.
Okay, and I think addressing the culverts through the DPW is perfectly fine. There are actually grants available at the state level for replacing culverts. But that, the culverts are really outside the scope of Brian Anderson's plans.
And he still wishes to proceed with the idea of a dog park?
Well, he has the dog park's kind of more of I guess a name that he's giving it. It's really just an area that he wants cleared up and to be used by dogs. He had a sign up on the tree saying Town of Ayer Dog Park, but he has removed that. It was more of just an idea for him to help people in the neighborhood. He says he does not own a dog now. He used to, but he thought it would be an improvement to the neighborhood.
To be used by only people in the neighborhood, or is this a public?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I would think it would be mainly for dogs in the neighborhood, but if somebody wants to bring their dog in from the other side of town and walk it with someone in the neighborhood, I think that'd be a grand idea.
Where does he live in relation to the property? I'm kind of confused.
Sure, he lives, as you're looking at the picture, that White House is not his. He actually lives across the street.
Across Taft Street.
Across Taft Street.
And then, Joanne, where again where's the wetlands in relation, besides the culvert and drainage ditch area?
Well, so the intermittent stream really comes diagonally across this parcel. And there would be bordering vegetated wetlands associated with that intermittent stream. And there are probably considerable bordering vegetated wetlands.
Okay, I was confused. I thought, and I misunderstood, I probably wasn't paying attention well enough, my fault, but I thought this was the item Kevin was mentioning earlier, that this was a culvert and it was identified as a outside jurisdiction, blah, 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 or maybe I misunderstood that.
Well, I think Calvin at one point owned this parcel, if I'm getting the story right from Kevin, and came to the commission years ago for an RDA, I guess, and got a negative determination, and then decided not to build a house here after all. So as I explained to Kevin, or reminded Kevin, any determinations or permits or anything that happened in the past stay in the past, and we start brand new, fresh from square one with a new project here. So the wetlands are going to have to be flagged really before anything can happen, I think.
And then I agree with you, Joanne, on that. My purpose of that comment was just to say that not only this office has experience and with this particular piece of property. So yeah, I completely understand that. So
Yep.
we do have information from 2011. We were working for Calvin at the time, and it was determined that for a couple different reasons that he could not build on it.
Mm-hmm.
The lot size is just under 12,000 square feet, so the wetlands was just one portion of the process for him to build on it. And obviously he decided not to proceed it at that time. So that was more of a historical comment rather than, well, in 2011, I don't mean to point that finger at all. I just want to say that we have historical information on the property.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Okay.
And,
all right. Well, thanks for clarification. I appreciate it.
Yep. And as Kevin and I discussed on the phone, that's going to be really helpful because there have been machines running all over this property, and it is not the way it was a couple of months ago.
It doesn't look like it.
No.
Quick question on your plans or on the plans for the final product. Is he envisioning this being actually fenced off? If it's going to be a dog park?
No, it absolutely not. It's more of an open area, like it always has been. And previous to Calvin looking at it, I guess his mother, who lived down the street, and Calvin lived down the street, there was a garden there at one time. I don't know how long ago that was, but there has been conversation that, well, there used to be a garden there. So it was cleared at one time. And I do remember it from 2011, and it wasn't a substantial growth in there by any stretch. But obviously we want to, do whatever we can with the cooperation of the commission.
But, well, the other thing Kevin and I talked about was a timeline for a notice of intent. Given challenges of working and their workload into the middle of June, I think, Kevin, is what you said?
I think you said the enforcement order, you needed a restoration plan by the 15th of June. And I kind of said to you that, with our current workload, that's probably not realistic for what we have.
Right.
So if it's the intention of the commission to file a notice of intent, we'd be more than happy to try to get it at the end of the June meeting or the beginning of July meeting. And I think that's doable based upon, it's not a large piece. It's like I said, it's only 12,000 square feet. I think we'd be in a better position to do something at that time frame. And I understand the sensitivity the commission has with enforcement orders, obviously, but I'd rather not, we've known about this for a week and we're already making progress toward it. So we're not going to let this fall for a period of time.
Well, that's good. We really appreciate that. So
Yeah, very much.
in looking towards ratifying this enforcement order, I think if we take away the requirement for a restoration plan and replace it with the requirement for a notice of intent by the first meeting in July. I don't have our meeting
Maybe the 9th.
July 9th.
Yeah.
What do you all think about that?
Fine with that.
I'd be happy with that.
Me too.
And again, we'll make every effort to make that meeting, understanding that, we actually have to file ahead of time, for the filing deadlines and so on and so forth. But we'll keep you posted of our progress.
Great.
Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
Joanne, to be able to discuss at the 9th, it needs to be submitted to you by when?
Oh boy. So that's another, let's see, we've got 5 minutes left of our meeting here.
You can get back to me on that, Joanne, if you want. All
Yeah,
right?
I think I'm gonna have to.
That's not a problem.
All right, well, so in terms of ratifying this order, shall I uncheck the box for the restoration order and check the box for notice of intent for July 9th?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, I will do that and get that off to Brian, and I can send a copy of it to you also, Kevin, if you'd like.
Sounds great. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks.
Thank you for your
Kevin.
time. Have a great evening.
Thank you
You
so
too.
much.
Bye-bye.
So we have to take a vote to ratify?
Probably.
Okay, so is there a motion to ratify the enforcement order, including the changes that Joanne is going to make?
So moved.
Second.
How do you vote for that, George?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Yes?
Aye.
Jen?
Aye.
Chairman votes aye. Alrighty. So our last action item is outline discretionary criteria for accepting applications during a pandemic state of emergency. Oh, look at that.
Look at that. This screen sharing thing is really quite fun. So we are operating in a new regulatory landscape here in this pandemic. We've got multiple, I don't even really know what you call them. We've got an executive order, we've got the Municipal Relief Act, we've got new DEP guidance, we've got new DEP FAQs relative to how to operate a commission right now. We're coping with the Registry of Deeds indexing standards that required the certificate of vote. It really is like everything has been turned on its head, and it's getting a little bit smoother because DEP is sort of figuring this out with us as we go along, but it has been a huge challenge. The Municipal Relief Act did give Conservation Commission the sole discretion to open public hearings during the state of emergency. And while we don't want to let ourselves get buried by the things that are starting to pile up on my desk, we've had an ANRAD come in, we've had a notice of intent come in, we're going to get the Anderson's notice of intent. Deciding whether to open public hearings for controversial projects is something that DEP and various town councils are cautioning us to be mindful moving forward. So if we feel that a project is going to be controversial and there's likely to be a great volume of public interest, waiting until the end of the state of emergency in the hopes that we can meet in person together is in our discretion. And it's discretion that I'm hearing we should consider using, mostly to benefit applicants. So the suggestion has been made that we think about criteria for controversial projects and whether we want to open a public hearing for them or not. And so volume of public interest, other permits an applicant may already have in hand if this is their last hurdle, so to speak. The urgency of a project, whether it's an emergency or is just a landscaping sort of situation, as well as the order that projects have come into the office. And I don't think this is anything that needs to be decided tonight, but it's something I wanted to make you all aware of.
And what has been coming in? The ANRAD is for Stratton Hill?
ANRAD is for Stratton Hill. We've got a notice of intent for Lot 6 Shaker Road, which is the last of the duplex lots. And that's the lot that currently has an enforcement order on it.
Is that the one that is partially in Ayer and partially in Harvard? Is that one?
Well, there's a marker that makes it seem like that, but that marker is not actually the town line.
Okay.
It is entirely in Ayer.
Okay. All right.
Outside of the enforcement order, is that one likely, in your view, to have public interest, or?
Well, I got 2 phone calls on it today. Daniel Tracy is a direct abutter, so he wanted to know what was going on with the abutter notification he received. And another woman who was not interested in giving me her name called and was concerned, mostly because of the language. You know, it says dredge, fill, alter, and so she felt better when I told her it was really a buffer zone project. Yeah, but there's some interest there. We've also had 3 different inquiries about the Taft Road enforcement, Taft Street enforcement order. People are, well, 4 actually, if you count the neighbor. So there might likely be some public interest in that as well.
Well, hopefully by July we would have a better idea of where everything is.
Oh gosh, I certainly hope so.
So Joanne, based on some of the criteria you talked about here, right? So is that something that you could put us together a short list of, stuff that you received, basically going by, reverse chronological basically, or the other way, actually, just chronological. And then, like you said, maybe asterisks, this an emergency, this one where we'd be the last hurdle for this person before they can proceed. Just
Yep.
kind of, identifying some of that for us.
Yeah, I could. Yep, absolutely.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
And then we could
That
chat
actually,
about it
if
next
we did
time.
that next meeting, we could review that more specifically.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'd have to review that at the next meeting before we could essentially start to place things on future agendas is the idea, Jess, right?
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
Okay, all right.
Yep. Well, and I'm being mindful of the time here, so we're 4 minutes over.
One quick question. The ANRAD for Stratton Hill, all that involves is confirming their wetland delineation.
That's right.
Right. And did you get an electronic copy of that plan yet?
I have an electronic copy. Yes, I think I do.
Because if you circulated that for us to take a peek at, then we could see what extent that at our next meeting we'd have a basis to evaluate to what extent how much jurisdictional land would be involved or not. That the ANRAD shouldn't be controversial because that's just confirming the wetland lines. What would be more controversial would be the notice of intent to develop after that, where there'd
Right.
be.
And we have no idea where on the parcel they actually want to develop. We've gotten some preliminary sketches
Right.
on a very informal basis from the developer, but they haven't even gotten to the preliminary subdivision plan yet. So we really don't know how close to a wetland line any of this is going to be, other than where the road exists now.
Yeah.
At least with reviewing the resource delineation, we'd go from there to more than likely a site visit. Right?
Well, I mean, if there isn't that much, well, I mean, if we could look at the electronic plan, we could see how complicated it was or not, and whether that would be something we'd want to delay or get somebody else to look at or not, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll.
That one we could clear potentially, but, you know, I wouldn't be in favor of moving forward on that notice for development until people could attend easily.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Ken Diskin from 180 Washington Street. So I'm in a butter to a project that's, you know, the Esola 2. So I
Yes.
was curious about this volume of public interest, and I was going to get to the idea that, yes, if the public isn't able to use the Zoom feature or other things, how does that affect the project? And how do you make that determination, I guess, the volume of public interest? It's going to be a difficult one to figure out, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
I'm assuming it'll be difficult to figure out. Everyone has access to, well,
No,
everyone, but
not everyone.
not everyone. You're correct. But
I know someone right behind me who does not. Actually is the closest to butter. But anyway, they could be sitting here with me, I suppose, but I can't do that either, supposedly.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
It's
Um,
it's a problem for sure.
it is a
I guess-
problem, but it's the best that we can do.
No, I understand, because I'm on, I'm on the planning board, so I'm curious because we're going to run into the same exact stuff.
Yep.
So anyhow,
I mean, some of it would be common sense to the extent that, say, if somebody wanted to do a, you know, addition on their house or
Yes.
backyard project shed or something like that, and not likely to be, you know,
correct.
not likely to be of interest except maybe to an immediate next door neighbor, then we could see. But a subdivision is a little bigger, so.
Based on the scope of the project, in all probability, that would be a big part of the criteria of what would generate public interest or not, I guess.
Correct. Yep.
If we were to post it right in the paper, and let's say Joanne were to field a phone call or what have you, that somebody will not be able to participate via Zoom, then I suppose would we be obligated to postpone that item and continue it till whenever, let's say?
I think it's our discretion,
Okay.
you know.
It is. Yeah. Totally. Sole discretion.
So
And Zoom,
discretion of the commission, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Could we
Because
do
of
like
one-
we do with government hearings and say there's an open comment period, we can send in written comments?
Yeah.
One of the problems with the process, Mr. Chairman, if I have another second,
Please.
is that, as we all know, that in particular what happened even tonight, you had 3, I think, NONs and NOIs that were, continued, is that I found this out as an abutter through my own experience a few years ago, was that early in the conversation, when a notice of intent comes in or any project comes into a commission or a board, that's when the abutters are typically involved. And as things can get continued because of delays or changes in the plans and whatnot, the abutters lose interest and fall away. So in this particular case, that's even more evident with something like Zoom, where it's difficult for a person to follow the steps through a lengthy approval process. And, I take my hat off to any of us that are working on a board now to try to figure out how to keep the public involved, because we all want the public involved, I guess, in everything we do. But that's part of the problem that exists in a normal environment. And it's also can be part of a strategy for applicants that they're aware of that. So they typically can take advantage of that by letting the process continue sometimes and have abutters drop away. So just a thought.
Yeah,
No.
what would happen with property on Wright Road if we'd use this method.
Right.
The one that was appealed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What was that, George?
Just thinking, well, how would the permitting process for that property on Wright Road that we just went through have come through if we'd been doing it on Zoom?
Oh, right, right.
Well, we could always, like you said, request comments more, but if we opened a public hearing and there was a lot of initial public interest, like you said, Ken, at the very beginning, we could use that as a basis to determine that we couldn't move forward adequately by Zoom, given that level of interest, and just continue it until after the state of emergency.
Right, and the chairman actually has the discretion to continue public hearings that have been opened to some date in the future. The other thing that that we should remember about Zoom is that even if somebody doesn't have computer access to Zoom, they can watch the live stream of the meeting and call in. They can just use a telephone to access the meeting. They don't need to have a computer to access the meeting.
Good.
One
Then
thing,
how is this explained to them?
Yeah, so Joanne, are you saying people can do it as completely as a conference call? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, so that opens up things. I didn't even think about that. So that is useful. Okay.
Yep. So we it's a good thing we have savvy people at APAC who let me know these things via chat in the middle of the meeting. I need to give credit where credit is due.
Excellent. Okay, good.
But we should really try to wrap this up so that our tech folks.
I thought, Jen, did you have a question?
just a quick comment. I'm completely understanding that we want to be mindful of people access and especially with the more controversial things, but I'm hesitant to postpone things too much because we don't know when this is going to end. And if we go through the summer being on Zoom, I fear that a lot of projects might be postponed indefinitely. So just something else to be mindful of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, good point, Jen. And that's why I want to see let's take a quick look at the list we've got and
Definitely.
see what we can, again, I think that the intent of this time and the one we had last time was we had things piling up, right? We wanted to get things progressing. So yeah, no, this is all good.
And hopefully next meeting we can start to work our way through.
Definitely.
Yeah, and Joanne, between you and John, definitely fill up the agenda with stuff that we can do, hopefully.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't want us to get behind or slow things down for applicants. So whatever we can move along, I'm all for it. And getting this certificate of vote squared away is going to help us a lot.
Great.
And if it's little things that we keep moving through and we go a little slower on the big things, as long as we're making progress, I think that's I think that'll be good. This is hard. I have to tell you this, from my end of this, this is a real challenge.
Well, we appreciate your hard work and sticking to it.
Well,
Definitely.
it's all of this is hard for everybody, but boy, when you think you know how to do your job and then somebody turns the bucket upside down. Yeah, but we're gaining on it, I think.
Yep. Is there any other important issues that need to be discussed?
Just the motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Wait, who seconded?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Aye, chairman votes aye. Thank you all very much.